I wanted to begin the interview, Cecilia, by thanking you so much for joining me. We met over a year ago, and this, me having the privilege of interviewing you has actually been a year in progress. I'm not sure if you actually knew that or not, but I actually talked to you last year in 2020, and we weren't able to get to the meeting then. So I'm really glad to help you share your story. So Cecilia, or of course you probably prefer Starlit, which I do understand. Starlit is a lot easier than Cecilia. So Starlit, why don't you tell us your life story and focus in on a lot of the various issues that you and your children have been going through, the discriminations, all those types of things. Why don't you start from there and basically talk about anything and everything you want to get off your chest? So go right ahead.
All right. Thank you for having me, first
My
of all.
pleasure.
It's nice to be here. Um, well, I am visually impaired. I lost my sight when I was about 10 years old. I do remember colors. I remember my parents' faces, my sister. And the last person I remember seeing was my baby niece, Celeste. And I remember her little beady eyes and things. I loved babies, and I used to have dolls, like a bunch of baby dolls when I was little. But when she was born, I was like, I don't need those anymore. So she was born around the time I lost my sight. So shortly after is when it happened. I have something called, I always get it confused between rod cone dystrophy or cone rod dystrophy. But basically, the cones and rods aren't working, aren't sending the signals correctly. I didn't have a whole lot of great doctors. I did have different doctors who didn't really know how to handle or answer my questions because they didn't know much about my condition. It's not genetic, thank God. So my kids are like they are not visually impaired. I have three kids. Um, so, anyways, growing up, when I was a teenager, high school was pretty hard. I went through a lot of craziness with people, wrong, taking me to the wrong classroom on purpose, just a whole bunch of things. I had a couple of incidences on the bus, so I now am like afraid of taking public transportation like that because of what happened to me there. I had my first son. I'm kind of just skipping through. I met my ex in high school. I'm no longer with him. I'm a single mom of three. I met my ex in high school, and we had our first kid when I was pregnant at 19, had him at 20. And then my second child, I was 25, and my third at 28. And I have two boys and a girl, Ayani, Aiden, and Akira. My youngest is Aiden. Um, so it's been a rough road, but it's also, I mean, I can look at it either way. I'm pretty thankful for what I've been through because I wouldn't be the same person hadn't I gone through the struggles I went through. And up until recently, I used to tear myself apart a lot. And I'll tell you, it's a lot of because I've been looking for a stable job since I was about 20. And the door keeps getting closed in my face because I'm blind. And it is because I'm blind. It's not being negative. The reasons for, and I've been through so many interviews, even recently. Um, the reasons they usually say are just doesn't make any sense to me at all. Um, I'll give you an example. I went for this one really hit me hard. There's been so many interviews since and before then, but it was with a company called Age of Learning. It was for an early childhood education program, and I was going to work for their customer service line and helping with the products, the educational products, like they're the creators of ABC Mouse and other uh, programs. I have a true passion for kids. That's why I'm continuing school for social work. Anyways, this happened the year before last, I believe, 2019. I had an online interview June of that year. I kept up with them. I didn't hear anything. 3 months later, I had an in person, on site interview. I stayed there for 3 hours, passed their assessment. I came completely prepared with my equipment, my laptop, I showed them what I could do. I opened up Excel, I showed, the Microsoft Office, everything that I'm capable and trained and am certified in doing with telecommunications. So it was a 3 hour interview. I had a good feeling. They were even talking to me about the pay, they were talking to me about restaurants around the area. It sounded promising completely. She told me how she was really impressed because I hate saying this, I'm just repeating. She was really impressed about, my independence and how I was prepared. And it just, kind of bothers me to hear that as a 30-some-year-old woman. Like, of course, I'm independent. Of course, I do these things. But I guess as a blind person, that's so amazing to other people. I've raised my 3 kids pretty much on my own. Thank God for my mom. She has been there from day one. My parents have been, but my dad, I lost him in 2010. Anyways, a week after the interview, I heard nothing and I called them to follow up, Aged Learning. And they said, I'm sorry, but we decided to proceed with someone else. I said, all right, that's fine. I said, may I ask you a question? She said, sure. I said, what could I have done better or differently so that I know for the next interview? She says, well, you could have asked how we feel about our job. So, out of everything I had proven, everything I've shown them, that was her excuse. That was her reason for not hiring me. I was really taken back by that reply. Um, Anyways, moving back a little, in 2016, my family and I became homeless. And during that time, we were going through a lot. We became homeless in October of 2016. My grandmother passed away in December of 2016. My little cousin sadly passed away. He was only 26 in March of 2017. So that was 2 people
Oh,
still still homeless, right? My little cousin battled with depression, and that you can imagine that's.
mm, mm.
So then, April of 2017 is when I found this place. Me and my mom were constantly driving around. I was constantly making calls, trying to make connections, but the qualifications here in California are unreal. You have to make 3 times as much as the rent. And for the space that I need, that's just unbelievably ridiculous and unheard of, especially on an SSI income that never changes. You know, people talk about the minimum wage going up, but then you've got people like me who can't get hired, who want to get hired, who don't want just handouts, as they call them, and they don't raise the SSI. We're supposed to survive on 800 a month, right? And so, anyways, when I was homeless, the state told me basically I would have to be sleeping on the concrete with my kids in order to get help. I also spoke with a young lady who was not disabled at all, and she had 1 child. And she told me that the state was helping her to get an apartment. They didn't do the same for me. So at best, they gave me a couple $100s to help, but that wasn't even part of the move in. So, anyways, moving forward, during some time I left it out, but my ex and I had gone through so much ups and downs. We broke up and got back together several times, and we are not together now. We've been apart for a few years now. Um, and that's where I'm at. I now make gemstone bracelets. I have a YouTube channel as well. I am going to be continuing my school in social work and just keep pushing because I believe that your struggles are your strength. It's where your strength comes from. And without the struggles that we go through, we wouldn't be the people we are. And believe me, I've learned a lot, and especially in the last couple of years, when it comes to love, when it comes to just trying and I don't know. I have my bad days. I have my days where I beat myself up like I should be so much further in life. But lately, I've been telling myself, it's not like you haven't been trying. It's circumstance, a lot of it. So all I can do is start from here, you know. So that's my story in a nutshell. I love to sing. I do love to sing. Since I was 4, my uncle set up a little an area, his little shed in my the back of my grandma's house, and he used to encourage me to sing. He started me off with Sade, Michael Jackson, and I believe that's why I have a love for R&B. That's the music that touches my soul, that helps me connect. And when I'm feeling down, that's what I listen to help me. R&B, maybe some old hip hop, rap, not the new stuff. My favorite artists are Aaliyah and Beyonce, with a lot of others, too many to list. Let's see, what else can I share? I love horseback riding. Um, I volunteered at an equestrian center for over a year in my early adulthood and learned to groom and take care of horses. I also took gymnastics, which I loved a lot. So I like to challenge myself. I definitely am not one to have things done for me, and I don't like pity. It's insulting. So that's about all. If you have any questions, you can go for it. And thank you for letting me sort of vent and speak and talk about it.
That's why I invited you, Cecilia, because I've been following your YouTube journey for over a year, and I'm extremely I've just been extremely impressed. You should be
Yeah.
extremely proud of yourself. I mean, your YouTube channel you have a huge following on YouTube. Your videos are extremely impressive, and you should be proud of that. If there's anything you should be proud of, it has been your success on YouTube. Either way, even if you weren't in the situation you're in, the success that you have on YouTube is still really good. What really pleases me about you is your willingness to move forward in life. And I think that's a life skill, and I think it's something that you figured out, that sometimes, if life, as we say, if life gives us lemons, we got to make lemonade, right? Well, if I say it a little, I have a different expression, something about, if life gives you barley, if I have barley, I have to make beer, right? You have to make the best of these bad choices. And
Right.
simply the fact that you know that your struggles are actually your strengths, you are so right. And that will serve you very, very, very well. And very, very, very few people ever learn that life lesson to success. So you have all of the keys for success. In fact, you already are. So that's,
Yeah.
if you remember nothing else, remember that, as odd as it sounds, I've been watching you on YouTube for over a year thinking, wow, this woman is really, you really have it together. You're really doing well for yourself. And I think that's something to praise you for, is how successful you are. Not the fact that you are blind, or the fact that you're a single parent, or anything else. It's the fact that, irrespective of those things, you've chosen to be successful. And I put a lot of respect, and I spend a lot of energy. Trust me, I have no energy for people who don't try. Those
Mm.
people don't get on my show. Those people, I don't even talk to those people. I don't even watch those people on YouTube for a year if they don't try. But if
Thank
you put
you.
forth effort that I can see, I really, really respect you for that tremendously. And I actually don't really say this often, because, quite frankly, other people don't try as hard as you. But I mean it. The other thing that you said,
Mhm.
several pieces of advice. In an interview, they always say, "Who's the next person I should talk to?" Well, now that you're stuck here at Aaron's Opinion, now that you're going to get added to my WhatsApp group, and you're a forever member of Aaron's Opinion, my global community, no
Oh,
worries about that. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. There is someone who you should speak to in the group. I'll tell you once you join it. Later on, much later today after work, I will give you the link to that group. There is someone in the group who has recorded, he's a fellow podcaster like us, and he's blind, and he's recorded several episodes about homelessness, and he's discussed it with other homeless people, and he's recorded several episodes where he addresses that issue deeply. So if you later at a later date, if you feel comfortable talking to another podcaster about
of
that whole
course.
social struggle and the homelessness and that whole problem, which is a problem all of its own, having nothing to do with the blind part.
No.
That is a serious problem in our country that, quite frankly, I don't know why our country tolerates it, because other countries don't. But
Mm.
yeah, he's spoken extensively on that.
Right.
And the fact that, so I mean, there's a lot that now that you're here, there are several people that I think you will really, really have a lot in common with, and really you need to guest with them too. This one person in particular, but you can guest with anyone on my team at Aaron's Opinion with people from all over the world.
Mhm.
The other thing that I was wondering, and you know that I'm going to put you on the spot as someone in the
It's
chat, someone like me and Whistler and all of our great friends all over the world who support. So, if you have a bracelet business, that makes bracelets.
yeah.
Um, do you think
Hmm.
I'm really gonna throw a curveball here.
It's okay.
Do you think you could make me some sort of a the word isn't necklace, but when people have like when men like wear like I don't even know what the word is. Like not a necklace, but sort of like a decorative like lanyard necklace thing with like a rock or something, some sort of a symbol, but not a bracelet, but a necklace. Do you think you could make me one of those?
I can definitely try. I do only make bracelets, but maybe I can make that a next project.
I see. I see. But I mean, I was so yeah. So how did you get into bracelets and like how does your bracelet business work? Because I definitely want to include the link of that in the description to help people find your company and help people find your bracelets. So tell us all about it. Yeah.
Sure. Well, I make stretch gemstone bracelets. I've always been into gemstones for a really long time, and I don't know why I didn't do it sooner. I'm not sure. I didn't know the avenue. But last November, I started researching more of the meanings of gemstones and where they originate, where do they come from, and the healing properties, the spiritual side of it. That's what really, really connected me. I'm a very spiritual person.
Great.
I'm a very soulful person. I really love things that have meaning, some solid meaning. And I've always loved gemstones in general. So last November, when there was a lot going on, and obviously finding a job is just difficult to say the least. I said, I'm just going to start. I don't have much money, but I'm going to start little. I'm just going to start buying the cords, seeing what, stretch cords I need. And because I already had it in mind that I wanted them to be stretch bracelets. And I started doing my research on where to get my stones. And I also had to think about what stones I wanted to begin with. So I started with those and just a few to start, probably, I don't know, about three different types of stones just to learn how to actually make the bracelets. I had to learn about my tools, which are beading needles, the cords or threads you use, the scissors you use, how to measure it. So you need a measuring tape as well, one of those cloth measuring tapes. Um, the type of glue or what holds the knots together best. I went through different materials as the time went on, and I just love doing it. I am not just making bracelets, but I'm putting my heart into these bracelets. And when you tell me what you want, or if you have something you're looking for, I can help you as far as either a healing or a good energy bracelet, things like that. I'm really into it. So I enjoy it so much. I enjoy it for the person too. And when someone wears one of my bracelets, I want them to love it. I want them to really feel what that bracelet was made from. And it comes from love. It comes from a person that really does just want to help in this world. Like, I don't have much money, but I want to find purpose here. And that purpose for me is helping people somehow. And so that's how I started my bracelets.
Cool. So like what's the process for if someone wants to order and how do you organize your website for the bracelets and things like that?
Unfortunately, I don't have a website yet. However, I do have an email address, which is starlitgems1, the number one, Starlit Gems, StarlitGems1 at gmail.com. And I will, speak with you about what kind of stones you'd like, your wrist size, colors, anything of that nature. I'd like to get a bit of your personality. Are you someone who? Oh, by the way, I do make bracelets for men. It's men and women, so it's not just women bracelets. Um, I kind of gauge your personality. Are you more of a sparkly, bright person? Are you more of a person who's more laid back, who likes maybe something softer or a little toned down? You know what I mean? So I get a feel for the person, also what they're looking for. They let me know. I will give them pricing. I will show pictures if they'd like. But I usually custom make each bracelet. Someone
Mm,
usually kind of tells me what they're looking for, and I'll put my heart into making your own bracelet, because I want it to be something you genuinely love and you want to wear. That's how much these bracelets mean to me, and I want them to mean a lot to whoever wears them.
I just I just love the way you approach that, you know. So what that's fine. So if you were going to make me a bracelet, what questions would you ask? What do you what would you prescribe?
Well, it depends. It would be, what is it you're looking for, or what is it that maybe you're wanting in life? What colors do you like? Are you having any struggles? Anything?
I you know what's it's very interesting.
Mhm.
I would be looking for something that is there some sort of a stone that truly represents an overwhelming sense of peace and the gathering of knowledge and the ability to teach people and the ability to give out knowledge. So that's kind of my personality.
Well, there's a
Um,
few that come to mind already.
hmm. And I'm going to tell you one of my favorite colors, and there's a very specific reason why. One of my favorite colors is black. And I can tell you a little bit more off the air, but I don't like to upset the
That's
audience.
okay. That's
So
okay.
one of my favorite colors is black. And many of you who know me personally know why that is. So black would be one of my favorite colors.
Okay.
And that color to me represents happiness and peace and things like that. So what's coming to your mind here? This tells a lot about our personality. What's coming to your mind?
Well, it's funny you said black because lava stone was one of the first, and it's black lava stone that I would use for you, as well as African turquoise. See, the African turquoise is the stone of evolution. It's where things began. It's from Africa.
I already love that. I already love that design. Yeah. So I don't know how you read me so perfectly, but that's exactly that's exactly how I think about the world. You spend a lot of time thinking about these bracelets because you just designed a perfect one for me.
Yeah.
So so
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah, that's I would absolutely love that. So yes, please let's talk off the air after my crazy
Sure.
work day and crazy schedule today. But absolutely, yes, that would be I mean, that would just be the coolest thing to actually have like a piece of art from a fellow content creator and a successful person, someone who's blind to help you out, someone else who's successful. That would be so, that would be really cool. That would be truly
I'll
a
definitely
treasure.
make it for you,
Yeah.
definitely. And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
the black is strength. The lava stone is very much strength. It comes from the fire and earth. So that's
Right.
definite strength right there. The African turquoise is also strength and wisdom.
Mm.
So
Now
all of
here's the
that.
other question someone would want to know. So where are you buying these stones from? And in general, like how do you know that they're real stones that really are lava or really are from that region of the world? Like are they
Well,
real like in all honesty, are they real stones or fake stones? It doesn't matter either way. I'm just
oh,
curious.
I use both, but I'll
Good.
be honest on what you need. A lot of my real gemstones come from Fire Mountain Gems or Amazon, and a lot of the fake ones come from Amazon. So you got to really know who you're buying from. You don't buy directly from Amazon. You research your buyer. You see, check reviews, talk to people. Uh, but the mountain one that I've mentioned is actually from two sisters that I follow on YouTube.
Hmm.
They've helped me a lot in my journey of making bracelets, and they've guided me to where to get the real gems and to get them at a good price as well, because I don't want to just spend something cheap and I want quality. And so that's what I want. I want my bracelets to last for a very long time. And if you take care of your gems, they will last a very long time.
Hmm. Hmm.
That
I
matters
see.
to me. Quality is
Oh, I
definitely.
appreciate that. I really appreciate that. So for me, I'm going to ask this. So do I deserve real gems or fake gems?
Well, the only time I really do fake gems is if someone just wants it for colors and just they really don't care too much about it. But at the same time, most people do care. And
I
so I
care.
use
Yeah.
a lot of real gems. I would use real gems for you.
That would be really, I've never received a real gem from anyone. There's something really, and I knew about this from yesterday, but
Mhm.
until I'm actually talking to you and I see your love for it and I see your interest, like that's that's really cool. Like the way that you're able to connect yourself to your business and the ownership that you have and the love that you have for what you do, that's really attractive. I mean, we need more business people like you. That's really good. I know you've heard this 1,000 times. If I had a
Mhm.
position in my company, I would that whole
I
thing. I would.
have, yeah.
Oh, really? God, if I had a position in if I had a company, I would, Starlet, I would hire you in a absolute heartbeat.
I
Just
appreciate it. That love.
your personality, your personality makes me want to hire you. But of course, there's no job, so nothing we can do about that. But either way, either way, the fact that you pinpointed exactly the parts of the world that I've been to, I know you didn't know, but I've actually been to Africa before. I've traveled all over the
Oh,
world.
what part?
East Swatini, it's a country called Swaziland. It's near South Africa. I've done a lot of trips.
Beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. So that's really cool. So I mean, one thing I would say, and no, I have no business saying it because it's totally none of my business, but I'm going to say it, is
Mhm.
that probably at some point you should try to set up some sort of a website or at least some sort of a Facebook page for Starlit Gems,
Yes,
and
many
then
people
that can
do that.
be, yeah, that's what I would do if I were you. I would just set up a Facebook page for Starlit Gems or whatever you call your gem thing, and then make that just use that as your website, and then
Yeah.
just do it that way. The website thing, that's, trust me when I tell you this, that is for the most part more trouble than you actually need for what you want to do. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
But yeah, a Facebook page can definitely act as a website.
That's
So
what I was kind of considering, or an Instagram page or an Instagram shop, kind of
anything,
thinking.
well, anything that could, the difference is with Facebook, it's
Mhm.
very versatile. You can put your page in groups. You can easily send your link to people overseas. You can totally globalize the business just through Facebook.
Mm.
So Instagram is a little bit more individualized just for that. Anyway, yet, um, what are some of your, like, other goals and projects that you really want to start working on?
Well, school, like I said,
Mhm.
continuing school, because my heart's goal is to help others, and especially kids and people, families in need. When I first started schooling for social work, it's when I was homeless,
Mm-hmm.
and we had many losses during that time. So that's when I started the process. Now, later on that year, when I started school and my son had to repeat kindergarten because we were homeless during his first year, it was so sad. I couldn't sit down and work with him like I did my two older kids because we were moving around so much. During that time, when he had to repeat kindergarten, his teacher, his beautiful teacher, I used to volunteer there for a couple of years as well with the kids. And she told me, I'm sorry, but Aiden's going to have to repeat kindergarten. And I was really disheartened. But she's like, if we don't do it now, it's going to hold him back. And I said, no, that makes sense. And I said, will he be with you? She says, yes, he's all mine. I said, okay, because I adored her. Anyway, and tragically, 2 months later, she was a victim of the Las Vegas shooting. My,
Oh
my son,
gosh, Starlet, why did you have to? Oh,
yeah,
that's horrible, Star. Oh
yeah.
God,
And
I'm
he,
sorry. I'm sorry to interject, but it's like, Starlet, you're killing. You didn't. Oh, that's horrible. That's depressing. Yes.
it's very horrible.
That's
But
that's
that's part of it.
gruesome. That's gruesome, Starlet. Do you tell everyone that? That is absolutely gruesome.
I don't, but I feel like it's part of our
Oh,
story.
oh
So,
no, it is. That's fine. That's fine. I mean, this is a podcast for adults only, but I'm glad it's marked as explicit because
oh, for sure.
trigger warning right there.
I
Okay,
figured it
whoa.
would be anyway with your, you know.
with
interviewing many different people. So, um,
I'll tell you a little anecdote. When my podcast started out, it actually wasn't marked as explicit on on the chart.
really,
But then it wasn't at first, but then I interviewed a retired correctional officer from a prison
uh,
who
and
talked
you learned.
who talked about the R word that we really aren't supposed to say on YouTube. And then from there I was like,
Uh-oh.
yeah, this channel's not for children anymore. There goes
Right.
that. So anyway, yes, continue with the children in school. Yes,
So
yes.
that was a
Mhm.
very hard time. And during that time, I had to, I was taking three classes at the time. One of it, which was a child and family education class. And unfortunately, she was not very understanding to the situation, nor was she understanding to my blindness, because we had already spoken at the beginning and said that if I need accommodations or something a little bit like an alternative option to something that's too visual, a project that might be too visual, then we could talk about doing an alternative, assignment. Well, a lot of times she didn't do that, and a couple of my large assignments or projects were very visual. She ended up failing me.
Mm,
I loved that class. I knew the material, but because of the few big projects, and I did miss a lot due to my son waking up at night, and it was a tough time. Um, yeah, so that was really hard. So now when I go back, I'm just completely determined and committed to continue the social work. I wanted to work with adoptions eventually, but I'm looking more to counseling and helping families now more than anything in that way. I've also considered special education. So there's just so many things, but it has to involve kids. It has to be helping somehow. That's my goal.
mm,
My goal is
mhm.
school right now, and also helping my YouTube channel grow, which I barely hit 1,000 about a month ago, which is crazy because I've been working this channel for quite some time.
So Starlet, how long have you been? I mean, how did I even discover you? Someone over when we were talking last year when we couldn't make it to the interview last year back in 2020, someone mentioned, I don't even know how I found out about you. I wouldn't have if they hadn't had told me. Um, it was not Whistler.
No?
I don't know who told me. Someone said, Aaron, you should interview. And they're like, Aaron, there's this blind girl named Starlit. You should interview her. And it was in 2020.
Oh, wow.
And I had never heard
For
of
that
you from
person.
then. No, I don't. Yeah, thank you, whoever you are. I forget who you are, but yeah, right now my channel is at 98 subscribers. So
Oh,
still, it's still a work in progress. But yeah,
right.
you should be very proud that you have 1,000 because the one of the concerns that I have, and I've been talking to a lot of content creators, is, and this also scares me tremendously,
Mm.
is what one of my fears about our community is that there might be other blind people in your situation, Starlet, who
Mm.
have a channel, but they have less subscribers than either you or I, so neither one of them knows of them. Neither one of us knows who they are.
Yeah, that's
So I think this is happening a lot where I think there are a lot of people who need to share their story and need to speak up. But because they don't have enough subscribers, their videos aren't being passed around enough times. Nobody knows them. So that's
right.
a huge problem.
That's why we got to
Um,
help each other.
yeah, that's why we have to keep producing these videos and hopefully that they will get around. But yeah,
Exactly.
hmm definitely. So yeah, so you do a lot of live streams, which are really good.
Actually,
Which
just
are
started doing that.
Yeah, you just started those. I've noticed that.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
hmm
They're fun. I like the interaction with the audience and followers. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Have you had people from overseas? I think you do have some
Yeah,
overseas viewers, right? Yeah.
I do have people in Australia, um, the UK. I know people in Africa, all over the place, and I love that.
Oh, yeah, me too. Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool to see that our voices are trickling all over the globe for sure. It's
It's beautiful.
really, yeah, it really fascinates me. I recorded an episode because I'm also a French speaker. So I recorded an episode
Oh,
just a couple of days ago with this guy from one of the French speaking countries in Africa. And we did an episode in French. So that was pretty cool because
that
both
is
of us were speaking a second language. So that was a really you can have a lot of fascinating conversations. I mean, I know with the thousands of things that you're working on and everything else, have you thought about turning your YouTube channel into a podcast? Because I think a lot would benefit from it.
Not really, but that's a good idea. It's a really good idea.
Yeah, because a lot of people are watching or listening to podcasts, and some people don't like to look at YouTube videos. So you really have to hit both sides, both sides of the
Really,
market there. But
you've got a point. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I've done some live streams on my show's Facebook page. It's the interaction's pretty cool, but I find that most people prefer to consume my content after the fact later on. So
That's true. I have noticed that as well.
yeah,
That
the more you put out, the more you will discover, after the fact.
mm,
This interview will actually air on the 28th of October. So who knows what will happen between now and then, because I broadcast every Thursday, at
thank you for
1200.
letting me know. I'll mark that down in my calendar.
I just happen to remember the days, because sometimes I don't. I will send it back to you. Um,
Okay. Thank you.
but of course, everybody has a schedule for things. So a lot of what we're doing now, this conversation will be more helpful in the future than it is right now. Is the magic behind this? Yeah, yeah.
Okay. That is
So, and what other activities are you doing when you aren't basically doing everything else? What are some hobbies that you have that I wouldn't expect you to have?
well, I love working out. It's really important to me. Fitness is important to me. A lot of cardio. I recently got an elliptical. A lot of other stuff was, floor exercises, weights, stretching, things like that. But it's fitness has always been something that also helps me mentally.
Hmm.
If I don't work out for a while, there's something wrong. I'm sad or stressed or something. But when I work out, it eases the stress. It makes me feel like I'm accomplishing something, especially on those days where I feel like I wasn't productive or accomplishing something.
Hmm.
And I just definitely like doing that. I love documentaries, movies, all kinds of movies.
Hmm.
Music is my number one love. Um, and it's very therapeutic as well.
Right,
Those are those are many of the things that I enjoy.
right. Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
So over the year, have you ever watched any of my content or listened to, Aaron's opinion?
Yeah.
Have you ever? I've always wondered. I mean, it's kind of a weird thing to be curious about, but just like kind of, I was kind of waiting an entire year to interview you. So have you, over that year, have you ever looked at my content over that whole year? I have to ask.
I haven't seen a lot of your content, but I have watched a few. I can't remember exactly which ones, but I do know that you're very connected and intrigued when it comes to your interviews. I see how you connect with your audience and your person that you're interviewing.
I
You're
appreciate it.
you
Yeah.
care very much, I can tell, and that's an awesome quality. Like you're very present in your interviews, and
Well, you know what? You're so sweet and so kind. I appreciate that. I think that the interviewer should be present, and that they
yeah,
should
but
care. But that's another life skill though,
yeah,
because I secretly seek out people who care, and I can tell that you care because I can tell because I've been watching your content, and the fact that you care about things in life and success, it sparkles right through. It really does. So
I'm
you
glad.
should only interview someone who cares. So,
I agree.
yeah, definitely.
Good-hearted
Um,
people.
yeah, definitely. There's just not enough people who mean well, and you clearly mean well in life.
Thank you.
But we do have a very serious problem though in the blindness community, and you've seen it too. All the grouchy people around the community and all the Facebook groups. God Almighty. I mean,
You know,
some of these people are just so grouchy. I'm not trying to judge them when I say this, but
no, I get
it's
it.
like they're so nasty. It's not a surprise to me that they don't get the services they want, or it's no surprise to me. But what's your theory about that?
Well, honestly, there's a lot that I feel. There's so much. I think you're right on, I think you're right on that, on the observation. A lot of it comes from a couple of places, I think. One is just being a little bit socially, how do I say it? I don't want to say awkward, but they're
Well, that's
just,
the word, awkward. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, in a sense. And it's because they haven't maybe been around a lot of mainstream sighted people and just people in general. And they get kind of caught up in the world of being blind only. And there's so much
Yeah.
more to the world,
Hmm.
not just your vision. It should not define you. It is a part of you, but it shouldn't define you. Another part of it is just being kind of turned away all the time. And at some point, people can become bitter when the door keeps getting closed in your face, when you constantly feel judged, when you constantly feel discriminated against. You're going to be a bit snappy, you know what I mean? You're going to be not really willing to trust people because of your experiences, and that's not for everyone. That's just, a lot of people. I've been there where I feel like I'm not enough, and I keep trying, and what's it worth, and no one hears me, and you feel that way a lot as a blind person. But the huge part of that, I do feel, is a social thing. I don't think that they're used to kind of mingling and being around other people in a sense, because I feel like they don't have much of spatial awareness in so many different ways. I mean, that in the physical sense as well as in a more spiritual sense. It's like they kind of have a tunnel vision instead of stepping back and looking at the whole picture of life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, but I think you're right. Then those are the excuses, but it's a problem because
Yeah.
these grouchy people are then going out into society and not getting what they want and just kind of making the situation worse for everyone else.
Yeah.
So
That's not.
it's becoming a bit of a problem in the blindness community that certain behaviors are becoming acceptable when they really shouldn't be, and other
Right.
behaviors are just it's very strange. I mean, quite frankly,
Mhm.
when I'm not podcasting or teaching, I'm actually a very antisocial person myself.
Mm.
I would not say I'm sociable. I'm not.
Yeah.
But there's a right way to act in a certain situation. There's a wrong way, and you have to learn
Agree.
as a blind person. You have to figure out that you just have to act the right way the whole time,
Mm.
and even if
Yeah.
you don't want to.
You
It's
cannot
very
be a
tricky.
child.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Society doesn't have much patience for that. Yeah.
not at all,
Um,
actually.
but I mean, have you spoken to other blind people from other countries kind of more extensively to really get their perspective from other countries?
I have. I mean, I'm very close to a visually impaired couple in Australia. I mean, extremely close, where I feel like some of my best friends now. And there's a certain maturity. It's just very different. There's a different understanding. And there are people here in America as well like that. I mean, I'd like to think of myself as a pretty decent, put together person, you know. Um, but definitely the maturity level is very different compared to a lot of the blind community. And I won't lie, I don't speak with a lot of the blind community online because of that reason. They're very quick. I think what it is, they're on the, I don't know what you would say, like they're constantly defending themselves. They feel like they're on the offense, and they're quick to, how do I say this? They have to have the last word sometimes. And it's because I think it stems from trying to prove yourself all the time. At some point, you have to grow out of that and let that go and just be yourself. You know what I mean? Because no matter how much you try to prove yourself to people, they're going to see what they see regardless. So just be who you are. Just show what you can do through your own actions. Be a leader. You know what I mean? And that's the only way that people will start to learn that blind people are quote unquote normal, because you have to lead by example and you can't let your emotions get the best of you. And unfortunately, that's what happens a lot of the time. And it is
Yeah.
unacceptable. Totally.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is, but the problem isn't getting better. And I think that I don't know. I just think people overseas mature and grow up a lot faster. I think
They do.
the
I think so.
expectation in other countries is a lot. Quite frankly, I think that other countries expect a lot more out of their citizens than we do here in the States. I think the expectations are higher in other countries. Yeah.
I'll tell you this also, especially as a blind single mom. In other countries, they take care of their people much better. Um, and what I mean by that is if you're not hired somewhere, because you can get hired, maybe it might be a little challenge, but not like here. The other part of it is, we get SSI here and we might get food stamps. We might get something like that. Out in Australia, for an example, you get a few different checks to help you survive. They understand that you need rent, you need food, you need transportation, you need clothing. They understand these needs, whereas America does not. And I have no, I won't hold back. America doesn't take care of their people like that. They really don't. That's why there's such a bad homeless problem. That's why blind people are forgotten a lot in the community. We are pushed to the bottom of the barrel. In other countries, no, they think about you. You get about 3 to 4 checks to help you to really survive. And if you want to get hired, you work hard enough, you can get hired out there. And it's been nothing but a challenge for me out here. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
I've even considered moving to another country because of all of that and just because of the narrow mindedness and the lack of education when it comes to blindness and many other issues and topics. I can't stand racism. I can't
Yeah.
stand discrimination. And America has a lot of that. I'm not saying other countries are perfect, no place is perfect.
Yeah.
But there are some things that just aren't tolerated and shouldn't be tolerated, like out here.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I've done a lot of traveling overseas, and what I've found in the disability community is that they might be supported better, but their chance for employment is even less than it is here. So here, it's kind of the opposite. Here, you have a better chance of actually finding a real job. You would have less care in some regards, to use that word loosely, but
Mm.
you would have a much better chance of actually finding employment in the States. Overseas, it would be significantly more difficult for you to have an employment, but yes, you would have probably more financial support. It
Assistance,
just,
yeah.
so what I'm saying is the, there's two different equations, but both of them are kind of bad because here you have a lot of problems, but you can work. Overseas, you can't really work, but you would still have some problems and a little bit more money.
Well,
It's
I
like it doesn't, I mean, I get what you're saying, but it doesn't
because I know
quite,
people
yeah.
that do have jobs in
Hmm.
other countries, and I'm sure that they have their struggles as well. They've told me that it is hard, but in my over 20 years or about 20 years of searching for jobs, I haven't landed a respectable one. The one that I had was I don't know if I can say this on your channel, so I'll say it lightly, an adult operator job, and that's the only time that I was an employee. Otherwise, I was finding jobs that are on contract or 1099 forms. I'm, you know, commission based and things like that. And it's really a struggle when it's not something steady, something that you can really rely on. And it's discouraging,
Mm-hmm.
especially for how hard someone like me tries. And I'm not saying that to boast of myself or anything. I'm saying that because literally I will cry tears just on the frustrations of all the interviews and the elephant that's in that room when you have these interviews. You know they're just going through the motions because legally they can't say you're blind, we're not hiring you. They can't tell you that. But at the end of the day, that is the reason. And there have been lucky people and blessed people who have gotten hired. But I only know out of the thousands of blind people I've spoken with out here in America, I only know maybe about 3 people that have solid jobs.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Yeah, well, I also think, and I was interviewing someone last night on the channel about this very similar topic, actually. And I
Mhm.
think that we do need to work on changing the employment laws to basically have some way of only, I don't know, only doing interviews when you're really actually going to hire the person or some such thing like that, because I think that a lot of times interviews are sometimes just going through the motions. But yeah, you said something, I think. Yeah.
What was
Yeah.
that?
I said I think you said something, but then I didn't hear what you said.
No, no. But I will say this. What I think could help, see, employers aren't aware and they're really lacking in the education of blind people. Um, there are benefits to hiring disabled people for your company, number one. Number two, I believe that there should be a program in place where we have like a 90-day probation period to prove ourselves. And I say that in quotes because obviously that's what we have to do. There should be a 90-day probation, 3-month period where we show, are we punctual? Are we reliable? Are we able to execute the job? Are we able to do everything that is needed, that is required of whatever job it is? Give us a chance before shutting us down, because honestly, losing someone like me and losing a lot of other people that are willing to work and want to work with all their heart, you're losing more than we are. And by hiring a blind person, you're going to have someone way more detail oriented because we have to be. You're going to have someone who really cares about being on time because we have to be. We have to set up our transportation ahead of time. We have to be detail oriented to cover ourselves in our daily lives as it is. We have to pay more attention. We have to be more present. So, why wouldn't you want that for your company? That's a fail on your part, sighted people.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. It really is, and I think your attitude is the correct one. And I was saying this very thing in my last interview that I think it really is a two-way street. I
Mhm.
think blind people like you, by the way, who have definitely stepped up to the plate, but I think other blind people definitely need to step up to the plate and need to start asserting themselves a lot more.
For sure.
The employers, on the other hand, also need to be a lot more willing to hire people. The problem, one thing that you said that scares me is you said, well, we need some sort of a 90-day trial period. Well, employers can just say, okay, 90 days and then fire the person after 90 days. So I
True.
don't know. I don't know how that's really going to work, because then they could just say, then they would get into a, I know exactly what would happen. They would get into a rut of hiring one blind person after the other for 90 days, 90 days, and 90 days.
Well, whatever it
Yeah.
takes.
I guess whatever it
Why-
takes until they
Whatever
figure
it
out.
takes. Because they hire a bunch of sighted people, what would be the difference?
But the difference from an employment perspective is some employers feel that blind people act as a legal liability. So legally,
That's
that's
wrong.
the it is wrong, but that's the real reason.
No,
That
for
that's
sure.
the real reason. Is it's a liability. It's not, but
That's
that's
how
how the
they.
laws approach it. So
That needs to change because it's unacceptable and forgive me, but it's BS at this point.
it is, it
I'm
is,
a single
and
mother that has raised 3 kids pretty much on my own. I run my
yeah,
household. I can do many things, probably even better than a sighted person. And I'm not
hmm
ashamed to say that anymore because I'm so tired of these excuses. I know we're seen as a liability, but why? Give us a chance. We are trained for that. We have to go through mobility training. We have to go through being certified in certain things that people off the streets just go get a job for. For an example, I'm certified in telecommunications. Who doesn't know how to work a computer? Most people these days do. I mean, my kids do, and there's just so much that I feel that are excuses, not valid reasons. And in my book, there are reasons and there are excuses. Let's find a way to hire blind people and stop making excuses, because liability is an excuse. You know, we aren't crazy. We know what we're doing, and give us that chance to prove that. I'm tired of hearing the same old excuses. If we continue to accept it and continue to spread that, it won't change.
right, yeah. Yeah, you're 100%. You're 100% like totally, totally there. Totally 100% ready. Yeah.
Thank you.
Um, but I mean, as I was saying, back to the whole gem thing. I mean, one thing in the short term, no, but I'm serious. In the short term, if you could get that gem page up on Facebook, and then you could really scale a business around that type of thing.
I'm
Not that that
definitely going to take your advice. Yeah.
not that that's I'm not trying to give you, and not that that's an excuse for anything, but that is a business that, because I see how much you love it and how much you care about it, that's a business that you could scale just because you care about it, because of the level of ownership that you have in that. So I think there is, an industry for that type of creativity, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm, this is a really, I've never actually asked this question. This is a really weird question to ask.
Okay. I'm ready.
What do, and it's never come up this way because I've never interviewed a single blind parent with children. But so, what do your children think of blindness these days, and what do your children think of Starlit the YouTuber?
Well, they really don't watch my videos. I don't know if any YouTuber really has their kids watching, but that's okay with me because I do talk a lot about a lot of content that's adult. What do they think of blindness? Well, let me tell you something. Ever since my kids were babies, I was very open about my blindness. I did not play when it came to it because it's a part of me and I'm their mother. So I learned very early, even before my kids. My sister has 4 kids. I have 2 nieces, 2 nephews, who I love very much. I taught them early. You help people who are blind. You don't make fun. You don't laugh when they, do things that are embarrassing. You don't do that. I mean, unless it's funny and, it just depends on the situation. However, I've always been extremely open with my kids about blindness. So it's never really been a thing, like, ever. And I don't know why they just see me as their mom, I think. I think you'd have to ask them, but they just see me as their mom. Mommy, I need this. Mommy, are you cooking tonight? What are we having for dinner? Mommy, I need help with this homework. Mommy, this teacher said this. Um, Mom, what do I do about a person that doesn't, likes me, but I don't like them? I have 2 teenagers and I have a 10-year-old. So I'm just a mother. I'm a mother before I'm a blind person. I don't let that define me.
Well, that's
And
that
so
that's
my kids see that.
well, that's worth seeing. That lesson is worth learning without any doubt. But yeah, I mean, that's really interesting. Are you in any of those, like, parenting groups? There's a lot of them on Facebook for, like, you know, for like different. There's a lot of groups on Facebook, that you could be in for different blindness issues.
Mhm.
Um, I just want to say, I want to wrap up the interview here, Starlet, Celia. Um,
Thank you for having me.
well, but of course, there's one more thing.
Okay.
I always ask every YouTuber or any guest on my show, if
Hmm.
you can ask me only one question to really make me sweat to see if I'm worth my salt as a podcaster. And considering that we've had a year for you to think about it, what question do you really want to ask me, Aaron Richmond?
What makes you want to interview people?
I want to help you to tell your story, and I want to help you to give people more knowledge and peace in their lives. And that's the thing that stood out to me about your channel overall.
That's beautiful. Thank you for that.
You are
That's a great answer.
that was a great interview. You are absolutely always welcome here at Aaron's Opinion.
I wanted to
Oh yes,
invite people to my YouTube channel as well. You can find me at
you can
YouTube.
click. You can. That's fine. You can click. I'll put it in the. So click the link in
You
in,
will.
in the description. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
So
Well,
go to
thank you.
Starlet. Go check her out on YouTube. Starlet on YouTube. Now everybody knows who she is now. So go check her out on YouTube. And thank you so much.
Thank
That
you.
was
You're welcome.
always welcome here.